I turned in my notice yesterday, and in 2 weeks, I will be officially unemployed. I do not have another job lined up, and my goal is to pursue a more creative life. I am quite literally blowing up my life at the moment, and this could be the biggest risk that I will have ever taken, but I am excited to see how it turns out. In this video, I'm going to explain to you why I'm leaving my corporate job, what I didn't like about working a 9-to-5 job. Then I'll discuss the plan I made to quit my job because I didn't come up with this overnight. And then I'll go into what's next for me because I know I said I'm going to live a creative life, but what does that really mean? First, I want to give some background so you have some context while you watch this video. As far as my corporate life goes, I have been working a 9-to-5 corporate job for 15 years. 15 long years. I also want to make it clear that this was not a rash decision. I did not wake up yesterday and say, I'm going to quit my job today. I can't take this anymore. Have I said that before? Many times, but I never acted on it. This has been a plan 2 years in the making. I actually decided to quit my job 2 years ago, but wasn't able to at the time. So I've been slowly working towards this goal of quitting my job, and here I am. There was a lot that went into the decision of me quitting my job. And 2 years ago, I was in a not so great place. I was very sad and miserable a lot of the time, and I felt very stuck in my life. And when I was thinking about my future, I didn't really see a future I wanted. I looked back on the last 10 years and realized that my life had never really changed. I had been living the same life for 10 years. And if I continued living my life the same exact way that I was at that point, then my next 10 years would look exactly the same as what I have just experienced for 10 years. And to me, that was completely unacceptable. That made me feel really sad that my life could be a repeat of the last 10 years when I wasn't really that happy. And I decided at that point I needed to make some drastic changes in order to improve my life. During that time, I sat back and evaluated what was really making me unhappy. And when I looked at all of the things that were making me unhappy, the majority of these things were caused by my 9-to-5 job. So let me explain a little bit about some of these issues that I was facing and things that made me unhappy about working a 9-to-5. First and foremost, being the mental and physical toll a corporate 9-to-5 job can have on you. I experienced more than my fair share of toxic work environments. And I'm not going to go into the details about how they were toxic. You all know what a toxic work environment is like, and these toxic work environments take such a mental toll on you. I would not want to go to work, not want to open my computer. I was so unhappy being present at work, and it put me in such a negative emotional state. And I hated feeling that way every single day. And then along with that toxic work environment came a lot of stress. And stress isn't just from a toxic work environment. It can also be like you're extremely overworked or you have a really tight deadline that you have to meet. I've experienced all these situations. The amount of stress that I have encountered over the course of my 15 years in corporate has really taken a toll on my body. I tend to exhibit stress physically. And, not only does it mess with me mentally, with my mood and whatever, but I developed a lot of physical ailments over the last 15 years. And they always started or had a flare-up when I was under high periods of stress at work. It got to a point where I really had to monitor my stress levels every day and make sure that my stress wasn't getting out of hand because I knew what would happen to my body. And that stressed me out as well. And I just was tired of being in constant states of stress or getting out of one stressful situation and then just finding myself in another. And it just got to a point where I didn't want to work a corporate job anymore because I knew the amount of stress associated with it was just unhealthy for me. And the last physical symptom that I would constantly exhibit was exhaustion. I was so tired all the time. The daily battle of working in corporate America between working with difficult people and just having to sit at a desk for 8 hours a day, I was physically and mentally drained by the end of every day. And the result of that was I would come home from work and I would just sit on the couch and scroll on my phone. I didn't want to do any physical activity. I didn't want to think about anything. I just wanted to try and de-stress from the day. And not only did this occur on a daily basis, but it also affected my weekends as well. I would find that as the week progressed, I would get more and more tired. And then by the time Saturday rolled around, I didn't have any energy. I would spend the whole day recovering. And then on Sunday, I'd have a lot more energy. But on Monday, I'd have to go back to work and the process would repeat. And this exhaustion really started to affect me because I didn't have energy to devote to anything personal. I would skip ballet class. I would skip yard work that needed to be done. Some days I just wouldn't exercise because I just didn't have the energy. And I hated that I was putting my entire life on the back burner just because corporate had drained me of all my energy. The second big reason why I'm quitting my corporate 9-to-5 job is I hate what I do. I really do. I hate it. My job consists of Excel sheets, running numbers, making PowerPoints, sending emails back and forth, answering phone calls. That's just boring to me, and I don't find it very fulfilling. My work on a day-to-day basis is just that. I'm not really making an impact on anyone's life or doing anything that's really interesting. My life is just sitting at a computer. And I just felt over time that I could be doing so much more than that. Over the last several years, I've found that I really enjoy creative activities, and I would much rather do something creative and something that I find fun every single day. I would love to wake up and be excited about what I'm doing that day, because right now I'm not. I really want to make an impact and affect people positively with whatever it is I do, whether it's by interacting with them or providing a good or a service that makes their lives better. That is something that I would rather do than sit at my computer and make Excel charts. And the last thing I hated about working a 9-to-5 corporate job was the limitations that it placed on me. I feel like a corporate 9-to-5 job is very constricting. And that's how I felt towards the end, is like constricted and controlled. The first part of the constriction is through the schedule itself. I hate being told I have to work Monday through Friday in 8 to 5. I just have gotten really tired of having my schedule dictated to me. I prefer to have a much more flexible schedule. So if I want to go run errands in the morning, maybe I work a little later in the day. If I have to go to a doctor's appointment, it's not a big deal. I just found that there's so much pressure to be at your computer all the time, to be in the office the certain number of days a week, that I felt like I was just being controlled. And that's not what I want to experience. I also think working a corporate job takes away a lot of your time. One thing I haven't touched on yet is the commute. Commuting is really draining. I spend 30 minutes each way in traffic when I go to the office. I have had jobs in the past where it was an hour commute each way. And this is time that is technically, to me, considered work time because I'm not doing anything for myself at this point. I am just driving to the office so I can get to work. Yes, I'm not physically working, but I consider it work time in the sense that it is not my time. This is not something that I'm choosing to do for fun. So that's an hour or two out of my day, additionally on top of the work day. Also, you have the 1 hour unpaid lunch. Especially when you're in the office, you're just kind of stuck there and you have to either go to lunch or eat lunch at your desk or have lunch with friends, whatever, but you're still stuck kind of out there, not able to really do a lot of your own thing. And then also on work days, you have to get up early, get ready, put on your makeup, do your hair, which I tend not to do on remote work days. And I just feel like a corporate job takes away a lot of time in my day, and it's time that I wish I could spend doing something for myself. And then, like I touched on earlier, because I'm working 8 to 5, I feel like work takes away my most productive hours of my day. And again, I don't have energy to do things afterwards. And I feel like it's stealing my best time. I wish it was just more flexible. Like I could work when I needed to. And the other aspect, which this one is interesting to me because I did not consider this before 2020. But after 2020, this became high on my list, and that is flexibility of location. I feel like I'm very limited working a corporate 9-to-5 job because I have to go into the office. I have to live in the city where my company is because I have to go in the office. This really comes into play when I want to travel, go on vacation, do some personal things. I can't really do that because I have to go into an office. And as many of my American friends know, you only get 2 or 3 weeks of vacation in America, so you don't have a lot of time to travel anyway. And I've kind of found over the years, the way I like to travel is to go live somewhere for 1 or 2 weeks and just take it really easy. Given the vacation state of America, you can really only do that once a year, twice a year if you're lucky. And the other thing that was really weighing on me at the time was I was considering moving. If I wanted to live in a different city, I would have had to lose my job because they wouldn't let me work remote. Yes, you can argue all day that there's remote jobs out there and I could find a remote job, blah, blah, blah. Yes, you are probably right. This is just one part of the many reasons why I wasn't enjoying working a corporate 9-to-5 job. So this wouldn't have solved every problem out there for me. But I got to a point where I started to feel really trapped in the city I live in. I felt trapped because I had this job and I knew if I left, I'd have to find another one. I felt trapped because I couldn't travel as freely as I wanted. And it just really started to make me kind of second guess what I was doing with this whole corporate situation. So 2 years ago, I said, okay, I have to quit my job. All of these things are making me really unhappy, and the only way to really escape all of these things is to quit corporate America and do something else. I knew that getting another job would not help me. I just had to get out of corporate America in general. At that point, I had to come up with a plan, and I made a plan. It was a little haphazard, but it was a start. There's gonna be a lot of twos coming up in this, but my plan was 2 parts. So it was financial, and then it was trying to figure out what I was gonna do. So let me talk about the finances first, because I think people find that interesting. At least I do.
Before we get into the financial part, a quick disclaimer: I'm not a financial professional. This is not financial advice, and this is based on my own personal experience.
I could not afford to quit my job 2 years ago. I financially support myself. So if I had quit my job at the time when I wanted to quit my job, I would have no income, and I honestly would have to find another job. So I had to come up with a plan on how to quit my job that would allow me to survive financially. And that was a 2-parted plan. So the first thing I did was build up my savings. I opted to have 2 years worth of living expenses in savings. This is not a number I found anywhere. This is just what made me comfortable. Second, I started building passive income. I did this through 2 methods. The first was investing in dividend-paying stocks and funds. I have been investing in stocks and funds for a long time, so this wasn't something new. I just started putting more money into it than normal. And my thought process behind this was I wanted some kind of money coming in when I quit my job. I knew this would not make me a livable income, and it's not. This is only going to make me, at this point, a few $100s a month, which is totally fine. That's what I needed, just something coming in every month. I also started YouTube. So I've had this channel for quite a long time, but I never really posted consistently on it. And it was 1.5 years ago where I started posting a video every single week. My goal when I started doing YouTube 1.5 years ago was to be monetized by the time I quit my job. It didn't happen. I'm still not monetized, but I feel like I'm close. And so hopefully over the next few months, I'll get monetized and maybe I'll get a little bit of YouTube income. I do want to say I'm very knowledgeable about like how much income I'm going to get. I'm not delusional about it. So I already know that once I get monetized, it's not going to be a livable income. The purpose was to just start building it. I didn't want to wait until I quit my job to do YouTube because then I feel like it would have been too late. So this way it's been in process. Hopefully I'll be making some money soon and that'll add just a few more dollars to my monthly income. And the last thing I did in terms of a plan is come up with a plan of what am I gonna do? This has probably been one of the hardest and now it's the easiest thing to think about because at the time I did not know what I wanted to do. This was actually a major issue for me. I would sit around and I'd just be like, I really want to quit my job, but I don't know what I want to do. I have no interests. I don't know what on earth I could possibly do. So what I think was most valuable to me at that point was making a list of requirements for my future career/job. I thought it was important to identify what it is I wanted to do And then eventually I thought I would find something that fit that criteria. And I would use it almost as like a checklist or a judgment against any possible jobs or careers that came along. Some of the requirements that were important to me were flexibility of location and flexibility of when I can work during the day. I wanted to be able to work whenever and wherever I wanted. Now, I'm not saying I want to work less or I don't really want to work at all. That's not what I'm saying. I just want a lot of flexibility in how I work. Another requirement was a creative/fun job. I wanted to look forward to working every day and be excited to get out of bed and work on whatever it is I had planned for that day. Over the last few years, I've held that checklist close, and every time I've explored something or investigated something, I kind of compare it to that checklist and say, well, what would my life look like if I had that job or did that career? And then does it align with what I want in my life? And I think what is also important is during this time, I started investigating other interests. So I picked up reading, I picked up writing, and I explored other hobbies and looked into other careers just to see what's out there and to see if there's something out there I'd like to do that I have never considered. What is the plan? Because I quit my job yesterday, I must have a plan, right? And I do. I want to pursue a creative life. I have this once in a lifetime opportunity where I don't really have any commitments or responsibilities. And I want to use this to see what it would be like to live a creative life. The first thing I'm going to do is obviously write my book. For those that aren't familiar with my journey, I am in the process of writing my very first book, and I don't have any writing experience. And I started working on this book almost a year ago, and I started writing it 5 months ago. I'm still on the first draft of my novel, and I am absolutely loving the process, and that is what I want to devote a lot of my time to over the next few months. And I think it is really funny how life works out sometimes, because when I decided to quit my job a few years ago, I had not even considered writing a book. And then even when I started working on a book, I never saw it as a career path. I just saw it as like a hobby or something I wanted to do. And it wasn't until recently, as I was approaching my quit date, that I realized the author career ticks a lot of my boxes in terms of requirements for my future job. I can do it anywhere, anytime. I'm really enjoying the process, and I have fun doing it, and it is very possibly a new career for me. Now, is it going to be? I don't know, because I haven't written a book before, but I really want to try it. I really love writing. I have fallen in love with it. I enjoy working on it every day. So I want to take the next few months and just work on my book, write like a full-time author, and honestly be a full-time author. I want to see if this is a lifestyle that I want and if this is something I enjoy. And then I'm also going to be doing YouTube, of course. I'm not going to stop YouTube videos. I am actually planning on increasing the number of YouTube videos I'm doing. Right now I'm doing 1 video a week. And since I won't have a job anymore, I can definitely do 2 videos a week now. That's my goal. It probably won't happen for about another month after you see this video, just because I have other things happening that I'm working on, which you will find out about shortly. And once that's all calmed down, then I'll be able to be really consistent with YouTube and writing. I'm really looking forward to finding out what it's going to be like to live creatively, to be in a creative state for most of the day, whether it is writing or working on YouTube. I've never been able to exercise my creativity for that long and for that extended period of a time. Usually I only get like 15 minutes to a few hours most days. And so this is going to be a really different experience for me. Besides that, I'm also going to have a little fun, of course. I do have to wrap up a little bit of personal stuff over the next month. Then after that, I'm going to do probably a little bit of traveling. I want to travel while I have freedom. And I want to do a little bit of adventuring, just exploring and just going out during the day and seeing what's going on. I want to truly enjoy my life over the next few months and experience what it's like to have that flexibility of schedule and location, and see if I can make my life a little more fun and interesting. My plan right now is to live this way for probably the next 6 months. I do have 2 years worth of living expenses saved, but in reality, I don't want to blow through 2 years of living expenses. I would feel more comfortable if I had some kind of income coming in by the 6-month mark. And so there is a possibility that I have to get another job around 6 months from now. What that looks like, I really don't know. I really want to see what happens after the next 3 to 6 months. Do I like what I'm doing? Is there anything I would change? Do I want to try something different? I think I'm going to do a lot of self-reflection and self-discovery over the next few months. And that is what's really going to inform my decision as to what I do next. So I can't really comment or commit to anything past what I'm going to do over the next few months, because I really think it's dependent on what happens next. But with all this being said, worst case scenario with all of this is I have to get another corporate full-time job at some point. Is that really the worst thing in the world? No, absolutely not. And that's partially why I'm taking this risk of exploring a totally different life. And it's because I can always just go back to the way it was before. Would I be completely happy? No. But at least I gave this a shot, and I'm trying and I'm exploring. I would much rather try and fail than never try. Even if I had to get another full-time job for the finances, it would be okay because I could still continue to work on my creative side hustles. And maybe I just need to work a little bit longer in order to support myself financially. My hope, of course, is that this works out in a way that is favorable to me, but you never know what happens. And if I have to get another job, I will. It's not a huge deal, but I'm gonna try really hard not to. I still can't believe that I quit my job. This is the craziest thing I've ever done, but I'm very excited to see what happens next. I have some good things planned. I'm looking forward to a completely different change of pace. And if you would like to follow along on my journey, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.